So this article is about what's called colorism, having dark skin. Bridgerton star Charithra Chandran recalls being shamed for having dark skin growing up. I'm trying to unlearn it. Let's see. All Hall Bridgerton's newest diamond, Charithra Chandran. Tell you the truth, I never heard of her. I guess because I don't have Netflix. That's why. Since the show's second season debuted on Netflix in March, breaking records globally to become the #1 show in 92 countries. Wow. The young actress has been lauded by fans not only for her epic performances as Edwina Sharma, the wiser and younger sister of Kate Sharma, played by Simone Ashley, but also for blazing a trail of South Asian representation in Hollywood. As her star is on a meteoric rise, Chandra 25 is quick to point out the positive impact it could have for darker-skinned South Asian women, something she can relate to. No one let me forget that I was dark-skinned growing up, she told Teen Vogue in its latest cover story. My grandma was very light-skinned. Whenever we go around in India, they'll always say, "Oh, you'd be pretty if you had your grandmother's coloring. Shame about the color of her skin. She's pretty for being dark-skinned." All of these comments all the time. Acknowledging that she doesn't hold this against her grandparents, she added that as a child, she wouldn't be allowed to play outside in order to avoid getting darker from the sun. Still, when someone's attacking you from inside your own family or trying to oppress you or create a hierarchy within your own family, that is in some ways so much harder to deal with, she explained. Those social biases were hard to break as she got older. When the sun is shining and I tan, my instinct is like, "Oh F, I tan." I'm trying to unlearn it, Chandran said. It's going to be a lifelong struggle. Or like when I'm editing a photo for Instagram, of course, the temptations are there. Because for most of my life, I've been taught that that's what is beautiful. It's really, really traumatizing. I just desperately don't want that for my cousin. I just pray that it's not like that for them. So here's a picture of her here. Teen Vogue. Yeah. Well, you know what? The world is made up of different tones of people. And she's getting her sweet revenge because they say this is the #1 show in like 92 all over the world. Yeah, on Netflix. Despite starring in one of the most popular shows in the world, Chandran said she still experiences colorism from other South Asians, which she describes as a unique type of betrayal. For me, colorism in some ways is more painful because it feels like a betrayal of your own, adding that it seems to be everywhere she goes, especially in the marketing of so-called natural products in Indian grocery stores. They always hide it under like, "it makes you grow." Brightens, she explained, but it's all synonyms for lighter, so I never ever was able to forget that I was darker skinned. Chandran isn't letting any of it go to her head, though. Instead, she's relishing in the love she's received from fans about the importance of her role for young audiences. In particular, what I love are how Desi people feel like we are breaking stereotypes, she explained, referring to culture of those of Indian, Pakistani, and Bangladeshi origin. The stereotype that Indians are nerdy and insecure, shy, or whatever is not at all what Kate and Edwina represent. She added, we are expanding people's knowledge of not only our culture, but also of our people. Indeed, the show has been praised for putting South Asian traditions front and center without dumbing them down or making them seem exotic, as noted by one of the show's writers below. And there's right here, and said so many South Asian practices have been commodified by white consumerism and or dumbed down. What I love about the Haldi ceremony in Bridgerton S2 is that the creators don't try to make it exotic. It simply existed without explanation. One example is later in the season when the Sharma family depicts a Haldi ceremony, a pre-wedding tradition in which the bride and groom are covered with turmeric by their loved ones to signify their blessings. While the tradition has been seen in Bollywood movies, it's not something usually seen on television. I was so taken with the depiction of the whole ceremony. We have literally never seen that in a show like Bridgerton or in this kind of era, and it's just so amazing and deeply personal, Chandran said. Still, despite her growing success, Chandran's biggest hope is to be a lighthouse for other Indian women who might see their own story in Edwina's. I know that many young Indian women are brought up with the idea that their priority is to be a wife and a mother and a sister and a daughter. And for me, Edwina was incredibly personal because I could see a lot of people that look like her in that position, she said. And if they can get anything from this season, is that you are much more in control of your own life than you imagine. Yeah, very nice. You know, this is part of the world, especially in Asia, this kind of thing. I mean, in America, sure, we had issues, but this still goes on in some parts of the world, you know. Instead of looking at people, what to bring to the table, their abilities and so forth. I know somebody personally from India. He's a pilot for one of the airlines, and he was here in New York, and I met him, and he was telling me that he belongs to the caste, the untouchable, I believe it is. So, so this is the caste that is looked down on, and they're people who are very wealthy, who belong to that class. They have money, they help other people in India, but still, this caste system still exists. I think the British try to get rid of it, but for some reason, it's still there, unfortunately.